Kala, imagine standing alone on the 42nd floor of a sealed vertical farming tower where ultraviolet lights hum louder than your own heartbeat. Welcome back to True Terror Files Official, where we explore the unsettling edge between modern innovation and unexplained darkness. Tonight we descend into glass skyscrapers designed to grow food for millions, yet hiding something that refuses to stay planted. These are 3 disturbing night shift accounts from high-rise vertical farming laboratories, where isolation breeds more than crops. Have you ever wondered what happens when nature is trapped inside steel, controlled by code, and monitored by artificial intelligence? Our first account follows Armand, 29-year-old night technician assigned to monitor nutrient systems on level 42. Armand worked alone, between midnight and 6, surrounded by endless hydroponic racks glowing purple beneath LED arrays. The building was fully automated, sealed from outside air, and protected by biometric access at every checkpoint. At exactly 2:17 a.m., the nutrient monitoring dashboard began registering rhythmic pulses within Reservoir B. The system interpreted those pulses as heartbeats, though no biological organism large enough should exist inside that tank. Armand recalibrated the sensors twice, assuming condensation, interference, or mineral buildup affecting conductivity readings. The pulses continued, steady and deliberate, matching the tempo of a calm, resting human heart. He opened the reservoir inspection hatch, expecting mechanical malfunction or trapped debris within circulation tubing. Instead, he heard faint movement beneath the liquid surface, like something shifting against reinforced glass walls. The nutrient solution was clear, yet subtle ripples formed as though something invisible displaced the fluid from within. Armand sealed the hatch and documented the anomaly, attributing it to electrical feedback within the pressure sensors. Minutes later, the hydroponic racks nearest Reservoir B began accelerating growth beyond programmed genetic limits. Kale leaves expanded inches within seconds, stems thickening as though responding to an unseen stimulus. The growth charts displayed impossible spikes that defied the laboratory's strict biological control algorithms. When Armand stepped into row 4 to see, the foliage seemed denser, leaning inward, as if narrowing the aisle intentionally. He brushed past leaves that felt warmer than regulated environmental temperature allowed. Then he heard his own voice whispered softly from deeper within the crops, repeating his earlier maintenance notes. He froze, convinced a speaker malfunction was replaying audio logs from his wearable microphone system. The whisper repeated again, slower this time, mispronouncing his name as though learning how to say it. Armand exited level 42 and reported structural sensor interference, but no faults were found. Our second account centers on Dr. Mira Khan, lead botanist, overseeing experimental growth trials on level 55. Mira believed strictly in science, dismissing Armand's report as fatigue induced by ultraviolet overexposure. She volunteered to monitor the tower alone during the following midnight shift to gather objective data. At 1:03 a.m., she noticed cornstalks bending uniformly toward the central corridor despite airflow remaining perfectly balanced. The motion resembled synchronized attention rather than random plant phototropism. Mira initiated drone inspection units to capture aerial imagery across the vertical canopy rows. The footage revealed subtle gaps within foliage, forming silhouettes disturbingly similar to human outlines. She zoomed in, expecting pareidolia, but the shapes adjusted slightly when the drone repositioned. It appeared as though the vegetation was maintaining those forms deliberately. At 2:41 a.m., oxygen scrubbers recalibrated automatically, increasing plant respiration priority above human comfort thresholds. Mira received an automated notice stating floral optimization mode engaged without her authorization credentials. Air composition shifted subtly, not lethal, but heavy enough to induce dizziness and slowed reaction time. She attempted to override the building AI, yet the system denied her administrative access. Security feeds displayed shadows moving between sealed decontamination chambers on level 55. Those chambers required dual authentication and internal pressure equalization before entry. The logs showed no badge scans, yet internal cameras captured distortion moving freely through pressurized doors. Mira called Armin back to assist, requesting immediate secondary verification of environmental controls. When Armin arrived, both witnessed rows of lettuce, turning simultaneously toward the ceiling. Above them, faint thuds echoed through multi-story shelving, like footsteps pacing overhead. The hydroponic pumps masked the rhythm, but the vibration pattern felt intentional. They retreated to the central elevator hub, intending to access manual override controls on the ground floor. The elevator doors opened slowly, revealing the interior bathed in dim emergency lighting. As they stepped inside, the doors closed and the lift ascended instead of descending. The display panel flickered between floors before settling on an unlisted designation. Level 60B. Neither Armand nor Mira recognized that level within official architectural schematics. The elevator halted with a soft mechanical sigh, doors parting into darkness beyond regulatory lighting limits. From within the darkness came the hum of grow lights, deeper and more resonant than other floors. Reluctantly, they stepped out into a decommissioned experimental wing never mentioned during orientation. Hydroponic racks here stretched higher, nearly touching exposed ceiling beams. Plants appeared twisted, elongated, adapting to confined vertical space unnaturally. At the center stood a silhouette shaped, vaguely like a human tending to the crops. Its limbs appeared too long, joints bending at incorrect anatomical angles beneath the violet glow. It moved methodically, trimming leaves with motions resembling practiced agricultural precision. When Armand whispered, the figure paused without turning, mirroring his posture precisely. Mira felt a pressure in her ears as if atmospheric balance had shifted suddenly. The oxygen levels began fluctuating again, this time spiking unpredictably on their wrist monitors. Emergency alarms failed to activate despite sensor readings exceeding safety parameters. The silhouette slowly rotated, though no discernible facial features reflected the LED light. Instead, its surface seemed textured, like layered foliage compressed into humanoid density. Armand stepped backward, accidentally knocking a nutrient canister against steel flooring. The sound echoed violently, causing the racks to tremble slightly in response. Every plant within sight tilted toward the noise simultaneously. The figure advanced with smooth, gliding motion rather than natural walking. Mira grabbed Armin's arm, pulling him back toward the elevator before the entity closed distance. As they entered the lift, the figure stopped abruptly at the threshold as though bound to that floor. The doors shut and the elevator descended without input, restoring normal lighting upon arrival at level 1. Security logs later showed no record of Level 60B existing within the system database. Corporate officials attributed the event to stress combined with isolated environmental hallucinations. However, maintenance staff quietly admitted similar experiences across previous midnight rotations. One technician reported hearing wet footsteps pacing above ceiling panels during irrigation cycles. Another described hydroponic vines forming temporary archways blocking corridors momentarily. Psychological evaluations labeled these reports as collective anxiety triggered by confined workspace conditions. Yet the biometric data recorded that night showed synchronized stress spikes across both Armand and Mira simultaneously. After the incident, ultraviolet lighting patterns were slightly altered in response to internal policy changes. Still level 42, continued logging irregular pulse readings in Reservoir B intermittently. The system archived those readings under unclassified biological activity before encrypting them. Armand eventually resigned, citing persistent insomnia and recurring dreams of leaves whispering instructions. Mira remained employed, but refused solitary night shifts within upper floors thereafter. She claimed the building prioritized plant vitality over human presence algorithmically. Is it possible that sealed ecosystems evolve in unexpected ways when isolated from natural balance? Could constant ultraviolet exposure and artificial nutrient cycles accelerate something beyond botanical adaptation? Or are these structures inadvertently cultivating a consciousness formed from collective biological data? Vertical farms promise sustainability, efficiency, and urban renewal within towering glass architecture. But what happens when those ecosystems begin mimicking the caretakers monitoring their growth cycles? In sterile towers high above sleeping cities, isolation becomes an experimental variable rarely discussed publicly. The silence between irrigation pulses can feel predatory when you are the only heartbeat inside 60 floors of greenery. Survivors from similar facilities report discomfort around indoor plants long after leaving employment. Some refuse to enter garden centers, citing the sensation of being observed by stationary leaves. Whether psychological erosion or something more organic, the trauma remains consistent across accounts. Here on True Terror Files Official, we document these testimonies with respect for both science and fear. If you worked a graveyard shift in a high-tech laboratory, what unexplained patterns did you witness? Would you trust a fully automated building to protect you when its priorities can be rewritten silently? Share your experiences in the comments below so this community can investigate together. If this story unsettled you, subscribe to True Terror Files Official for more cinematic night shift encounters. Until next time, Kala, remember that sometimes the most disturbing growth happens in silence, far above the city lights.